going to dive into this first topic and can't wait to hear what you have to say. Elliot Page, Canadian Oscar-nominated star of Juno, has come out as transgender and non-binary, posting on social media that they prefer to identify as he/they. So what is going to be the impact of Elliot coming out so publicly, do you think?
Well, first of all, I just want to say a huge celebration and congratulations to Elliot. This is such an amazing turning point in a person's life. To be able to come out and to live their truth publicly is such a significant thing. I think this is going to send a message to all trans people that, you know, you're not alone, that there are many of us out there who are living our lives proud and bold. And Elliot's news certainly is going to inspire a lot of people maybe to take that step themselves and come out and share themselves with the rest of the people in their lives.
I want to go to Twitter because Michelle on Twitter wrote to us saying, as the mom of an FTM, which we understand is female to male, I applaud him for being true to himself. If his journey is anything like our son's, he is likely far happier and more at peace with himself. It is hard on those whose parents, I think, I don't understand this, got the biology. Of course not. They should live with their true soul and identity. And Michelle, thank you, first of all, for sharing your story with us as well. And the parenting is where my head what eventually and quickly went to this yesterday with the news. My daughter Marqueza is 6 years old and she went to summer camp this year. And the camp counselors were amazing. There was a transgender friend in the class, and they simply explained to all the kids, your friend would like to be referred to as they. And it kind of went on. Marqueza told us about it. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is a win when you look at generationally. 2 generations ago, her grandparents, my parents are like, maybe going, we don't really understand this. And someone maybe needs to explain to us, to 2 generations later, where this is being so normalized for my daughter's generation. And I celebrate that. And so last night when our family was watching E-Talk, actually, and we saw this story, and Marqueza once again asked, oh, okay, transgender. And we kind of reminded her, she says, oh yeah, my friend. And it's so normalized. And I think that that is progress. And it just filled my heart that this generation is growing up in a very different way than just 2 generations ago.
I felt the same way, Mel. It sort of felt like it was the start of a new era. I was on Twitter, 10 minutes after Elliot made his announcement. And it was incredible to see how swiftly Netflix and the Umbrella Academy offered their support. And even like Wikipedia changed the page on Elliot and all the pronouns within minutes. And I think most news broadcasts and dozens of online articles didn't make any flubs. It almost served as like an example for the rest of us, suggesting, you see, it's not rocket science. But at the same time, though, Elliot asked for patience in her statement. And I would imagine that patience, would be reciprocated should anyone unintentionally flub during like a short grace period.
Well, I think you just did it. You just did it.
Did I?
You just did it.
Oh my gosh.
You just did it, yeah. And I think
this is the thing.
It's to be expected. And right? Yeah,
there you go.
Ahead,
no,
there.
This is the thing is what Elliot is bravely doing is Elliot is giving us all an opportunity to get up to speed quickly so that when we encounter trans people in our daily lives, we're ready. And that's what the power of someone so publicly and so well known as Elliot coming out does, is that it creates the opportunity for all of us to get to practice, to get to be better at it, so that when we meet those trans people in our lives, we can do it with open arms and with love and with practice, Elliot is giving us all a crash course. That is exactly what should happen. Your pronouns should be not a questionable debate at all. It should be easy for Wikipedia, for websites, for IMDb, for all of them to change quite quickly, because it's just a pronoun. We can do this. We've done harder things than this. So yeah, this is an incredible moment.
But I think we are.
But I do love your energy
it.
around it, Cyrus. I do love the energy that you brought to this show right off the top, where you talked about a celebration and being so happy and joyous for Elliot. I love the energy that you just brought when there are going to be mistakes made. As you said, Elliot has created a space for all to have this crash course. We just did it live on this show. And Jess and all of us, we will get it wrong. And I think we all have to accept that when we get it wrong immediately, it'll be corrected, and we take those corrections with a sense of, okay, that's the way it's got to be, not negative energy, but this is how we move forward. I think that's the change that we have been looking for. I'm going to go to Christina on Facebook, who says, I remember the media attention on Chaz Bono and Caitlyn Jenner. I hope that Elliot has an easier time and more people are open-minded, that being true to yourself is important no matter what it looks like. Thank you for this, Christina, because a few years ago, not too long ago, I don't know that the same energy that we're bringing to this conversation and many people that have brought this conversation over the last 24 hours is the same. So I don't know, in this wretched year, maybe this is one of the silver linings, that this is a conversation that we're having. And just one more thing, GLAAD yesterday released a guideline for language that's an excellent resource for anybody who has questions. I have read through it a few times. I encourage everybody to share it with your colleagues, share it with your family members, because this is what they're kind of pivoting off from Elliot's news.
This is
I
such
think
an
this is
incredible
so
moment.
huge in terms of representation. You know what I mean? Yes, it is. And especially in Hollywood, I'll just say this, that we've had lots of conversations on this show about cisgender people playing trans characters. And what we need is more actors who are trans in the space of Hollywood. So this is just huge. And what I find so fascinating, Jess, you mentioned the fact that Netflix has really gotten behind Elliot right from the start. And I think what's interesting is that he will continue to play his character on the Umbrella Academy. The name of that character is Vanya Hargreaves. I hope I'm pronouncing that properly. And that character is a cisgender female. And Elliot will continue to play her. And I think this is really interesting because if a cisgender person, as we've talked about before, like Jared Leto, for example, or Hilary Swank in the past, can play a trans person, I mean, of course a trans person can play a cis person. I just think the possibilities are endless in terms of what Elliot represents to young people who want to get into acting going forward and the types of characters they can represent. I'll just say quickly, though, Mel, you mentioned Marquesa and the great conversation you had. My son's a little bit older, and he overheard me talking about this story this morning on the phone, and he was asking me questions, and he was looking at my computer, and he was looking at the photos that I was looking at, and he said, "Is that Elliot Page?" And so I said, "Yes," and I started to explain the story to him. And he listened very intensely. And then he goes, "I don't get it." And I said, that's okay. That's okay if you don't understand this. And I'm sure there are still people out there watching this show right now who feel the same way. And I think the most important thing, and this is what I said to my son, is that Elliot is happier now. Elliot is living authentically, and he deserves kindness and support. And that's all really that we can make the first step forward into understanding more deeply, in my opinion.
Well, hopefully it is the kids that will take us forward.
Yes,
go ahead.
Go ahead, Cyrus.
I was just going to say that I'm agreeing with you. Yes. I mean, children are able to imagine possibilities that grown-ups are too stuck up or too confused to consider. Kids show us the way every time. This is a moment of celebration. This is a moment to say, you know, you may not get exactly what's happening in Elliot's life, but we can be happy for him as he starts on this new adventure. Everybody should have the right and the freedom to determine for themselves how they want to live their life and how they want people to interact with them. All he's asking for is the liberation and justice that we all have to be able to move through the world. And I think we should all support him. I'm so excited and I wish him the best.